Every morning, the sun would rise over the suburban landscape of Portland, casting a warm glow on the familiar streets. I would sit at my kitchen table, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, watching the world outside come alive. The aroma of brewing coffee mingled with the faint scent of blooming roses from our garden. Yet, as I stared out the window, a sense of monotony settled in my chest like an unwelcome guest. My husband had his routine, and I had mine. He left early for work, and I was left alone to navigate another day filled with silence. Conversations had dwindled to polite exchanges about schedules and grocery lists. The laughter we once shared felt like a distant memory, buried beneath layers of unspoken words and unmet needs. I often wondered if this was how life was meant to be, comfortable yet unfulfilling. One afternoon, seeking a break from my thoughts, I ventured to a local coffee shop that buzzed with life. The rich aroma of freshly ground beans wrapped around me like a warm embrace as I stepped inside. It was a small place, adorned with local art and filled with the chatter of patrons enjoying their drinks. I ordered my usual, a caramel latte, and took a seat by the window. As I sipped my drink, my gaze wandered outside. That's when I noticed him, the chauffeur parked nearby in an inconspicuous black car. He was leaning against the vehicle, scrolling through his phone while waiting for his next assignment. Something about him drew me in, perhaps it was his casual demeanor or the way he seemed detached from the world around him. I hadn't spoken to him much before, he was just an extension of my husband's life, a shadow that drove him around without much thought from me. But that day felt different. The air crackled with an unspoken tension as our eyes met briefly through the glass. A flicker of recognition passed between us, igniting something deep within me that had long been dormant. After finishing my latte, I decided to step outside for some fresh air. As I walked past his car, he looked up and smiled, a simple gesture that sent a rush of warmth through me. "Nice day," he said casually. "Yeah," I replied, surprised at how easy it felt to engage in conversation. We exchanged pleasantries about the weather and our respective days until an awkward silence settled between us. But instead of retreating back into my shell, something compelled me to linger just a moment longer. "Do you enjoy your job?" I asked unexpectedly. He shrugged slightly and replied, "It has its moments." I could sense there was more beneath his surface, an unfulfilled longing similar to mine, but we both remained silent about it. Our conversation ended as quickly as it began when another passenger approached him for a ride. As he drove away, something stirred within me, a realization that perhaps we were both trapped in lives that didn't quite fit anymore. The connection felt fleeting yet profound, it lingered in my thoughts long after our encounter ended. Days turned into weeks as summer unfolded into vibrant hues across Portland's streets filled with street fairs and blooming flowers. Yet each day brought back the same dull ache of discontentment within me, a longing for something deeper than what my marriage offered. Then came another chance meeting at that same coffee shop one rainy afternoon. The sound of raindrops against the pavement created an intimate atmosphere inside as people sought refuge from the storm outside. Just as I settled into my usual seat by the window again, he walked in, his hair dampened by rain but still carrying that easy smile. "Mind if I join you?" he asked after ordering his drink. I nodded without hesitation. There was something exhilarating about sharing space with someone who understood this feeling of stagnation without needing to say it aloud. We spoke about trivial things at first, the weather again and how delightful it felt compared to last week's heat wave, but soon our conversation drifted towards more personal matters, dreams unfulfilled and paths not taken. "I always wanted to travel," he confessed quietly while stirring his coffee absent-mindedly. "But life keeps getting in the way." A pang resonated within me at those words. How often had I thought about traveling somewhere far away? Somewhere where life could feel vibrant again? The rain continued pouring outside as we shared stories and laughter over steaming cups of coffee, the world outside fading away into insignificance for those brief moments together. And then it happened. Caught up in conversation and emotions swirling around us like raindrops falling against glass panes, I leaned forward impulsively and kissed him softly on the lips. The moment hung suspended in time before reality crashed back down around us like thunder rolling across stormy skies. "What have we done?" he murmured breathlessly after pulling away slightly, his eyes wide with surprise mirroring my own shock at what just transpired between us. The weight of guilt settled heavily on my shoulders even amidst this unexpected spark ignited between two lonely souls yearning for connection. A bond now forged through stolen moments cloaked under secrecy looming over us both like dark clouds threatening rain once more. Before either of us could gather our thoughts or speak further, the sound of familiar footsteps echoed behind me, heavy footsteps belonging unmistakably to someone who had been absent too long. The sound drew closer until finally stopping just behind where we sat together awkwardly still trying to process everything unfolding around us mere moments ago. I turned slowly only to find my husband standing there frozen, his expression unreadable but tinged with disbelief mixed together alongside hurt flashing briefly across his features before disappearing altogether like shadows fading into dusk. The rain poured down in sheets, drenching the courtyard where we had shared a moment that felt suspended in time. My heart raced as I took in my husband's presence, his eyes searching mine for answers I was not ready to provide. The air was thick with unspoken words, and the patter of raindrops only heightened the tension between us. "What are you doing here?" he finally managed to ask, his voice barely above a whisper, as if he feared the answer would shatter everything. I could see the flicker of pain in his gaze, a stark contrast to the warmth I had felt moments ago with someone else. The guilt washed over me like the rain, cold and unrelenting. I needed some air, I stammered, each word feeling like a betrayal. How could I explain that my need for connection had led me to this point? The truth hung heavily between us, yet I remained silent. The chauffeur shifted slightly beside me, his presence suddenly overwhelming. This was not how it was supposed to go. He had been my escape from the monotony of daily life, an unexpected spark in a world that felt increasingly gray. But now, standing next to my husband, that spark felt like a dangerous flame threatening to consume everything around it. "You've been distant," my husband continued, his brow furrowing as he searched for clarity amidst the chaos of emotions swirling around us. "Is there something you're not telling me?" I wanted to scream that there was so much unsaid, that every day felt like a battle against loneliness. Instead, I stood frozen, caught between two worlds that were both mine yet entirely separate. The chauffeur glanced at me with concern etched on his face but remained silent. His presence was both comforting and complicating. He had become a confidant during moments when I felt invisible at home. But now he was an unwelcome reminder of my choices. "I've just been busy," I finally replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the tempest inside me. "Work has been overwhelming." He nodded slowly but didn't look convinced. There was an intensity in his eyes that made me wish for something, anything, that could bridge this chasm between us. As we stood there in the rain-soaked courtyard, another wave of guilt washed over me as memories of stolen glances and whispered conversations flooded back. The thrill of our secret moments felt like a distant echo now, a bittersweet reminder of what might never be again. "Maybe we should talk," my husband suggested tentatively, breaking through the silence that had settled heavily around us. "Talk?" The word hung awkwardly in the air like an unwanted guest at a party. Did he really want to unravel everything? Did he suspect what lay beneath the surface? But before I could respond, thunder rumbled ominously overhead as if nature itself sensed our turmoil. My husband stepped closer, reaching out as if trying to grasp onto something solid amidst this storm brewing between us. "I don't want to lose you," he said softly, vulnerability creeping into his voice. It struck a chord deep within me, a reminder of all we once shared before life became routine and predictable. In that moment of raw honesty, something shifted within me, an urge to reach out and reassure him that all wasn't lost yet clashed with an equally strong need for freedom from this suffocating weight of expectation. But then came another flash of lightning illuminating our surroundings, its brilliance stark against the darkness, and suddenly everything became clearer. Choices must be made, paths must be chosen. And then it happened, the unexpected kiss beneath the downpour, a reckless collision of emotions sparked by desperation and longing. We kissed as if trying to erase years of distance with one electrifying moment. It was both exhilarating and terrifying all at once. As quickly as it began, reality crashed back into focus when my husband stepped back abruptly as if burned by fire rather than rainwater soaking through our clothes. What just happened? His voice trembled with disbelief as he processed what unfolded right before him. A moment meant for two turned into an explosion that threatened everything we had built together. I stood frozen again, my mind racing faster than my heart could keep pace. Every heartbeat echoed with regret while also igniting hope for something new yet terrifyingly unknown. "Let's go inside," he finally said after what felt like an eternity spent searching each other's faces for answers neither could provide. We turned away from the courtyard together, but not without one last glance back toward where our paths had diverged so sharply just moments ago, the rain continuing its relentless assault on what remained unsaid between us. Inside our home felt different somehow, charged with tension yet tinged with familiarity, as if every corner held memories too precious or painful to confront directly, now looming larger than life itself after our encounter outside. I caught sight of the suitcase tucked away in our bedroom, the one I had hastily packed during restless nights filled with thoughts about running away from it all. Only now its presence loomed ominously over my conscience, reminding me how close I'd come to making irreversible decisions fueled by desire rather than clarity or understanding. My husband moved about mechanically while preparing coffee. Each sound echoed loudly through this silence, stretching thin around us like fragile glass ready to shatter under pressure at any moment. A reminder that things could never return completely back to normal after tonight's events unfolded so unexpectedly. "Are you all right?" he asked cautiously when noticing how still I had become again, a question layered with concern but also uncertainty regarding whether he truly wanted an honest answer or simply sought comfort amid chaos unfolding around us both instead. "I'm fine," came out too quickly, nerves prickled under skin alongside guilt gnawing persistently at edges of reason while weighing down thoughts racing through mind endlessly without rest. But beneath those layers lay deeper truths waiting patiently beneath surface, begging desperately for acknowledgement while battling against fears surrounding consequences looming overhead, threatening everything familiar yet fragile built over years spent together, navigating life side by side. A sudden knock interrupted our fragile truce, the sound reverberating through walls like thunder rumbling outside, once more reminding us how unpredictable life remained even amidst attempts made toward stability despite storms brewing just beyond reach. "Who is it?" my husband called out hesitantly, glancing toward door, unsure whether friend or foe awaited beyond thresholds separating worlds colliding within moments already lived through together. Yet whatever awaited on other side held potential power far greater than either could comprehend right now, standing here caught within whirlwind spiraling ever closer toward unknown outcomes yet unfolding rapidly beyond control already set forth earlier tonight. The festival buzzed with life, colors swirling around me like the laughter of children chasing after balloons. I found myself standing in the midst of it all, heart racing, thoughts tangled in a web of anticipation and fear. The air was thick with the scent of kettle corn and blooming roses, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within. I had promised myself that today would be different. I needed to confront my feelings, to understand what this connection truly meant. As I moved through the crowd, my eyes searched for him. Each face blurred into the next, but there was one I longed to see. The vibrant stalls filled with handmade crafts and local delicacies provided a perfect backdrop for our rendezvous. Despite the chaos surrounding me, a sense of calm washed over me at the thought of being near him again. I spotted him near a booth selling handmade jewelry, his smile warm and inviting as he caught my gaze. My heart fluttered as he approached, weaving through festival-goers with an ease that made him seem at home in this vibrant atmosphere. He greeted me with a nod and a soft smile that sent shivers down my spine. "Glad you could make it," he said quietly, his voice barely above the din. "Wouldn't miss it," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. We wandered together through the festival, sharing small talk that belied the depth of our unspoken connection. The laughter around us felt distant as we moved closer together. Each brush of his arm against mine ignited a spark that seemed impossible to ignore. I could sense his longing mirrored in my own. We were two souls searching for solace amid our chaotic lives. As we reached a quieter corner of the festival away from prying eyes, he turned to me with an intensity that made my breath hitch. "I've been thinking about you," he confessed softly, his gaze searching mine for answers. My heart raced at his words. They hung in the air between us like an unspoken promise. "I've been thinking about you too," I admitted reluctantly, aware of how wrong this felt yet unable to pull away from it. In that moment, time slowed down as we stood face to face beneath a canopy of twinkling lights strung overhead. The world around us faded into oblivion as if it were just us two in this universe filled with longing and desire. Our lips met gently at first, hesitant yet full of unspoken words, an affirmation that transcended everything else happening outside this bubble we had created for ourselves. But just as quickly as it began, reality crashed back into our moment when I heard an all-too-familiar voice calling out from behind me. My heart sank as I recognized it instantly. The voice belonged to my husband. Panic surged within me, dread coiled tightly around my chest like a vice grip. "What are you doing here?" His tone was sharp and laced with confusion as he stepped closer to us, eyes darting between us both. Caught off guard by his unexpected presence, I stumbled over my words trying to form an explanation that would make sense amidst this chaos unfolding before me, this secret life colliding head-on with reality. My mind raced frantically for something to say while every instinct screamed at me to flee from this confrontation. But there was no escaping now, everything had come crashing down around us. The weight of our hidden relationship pressed heavily on my shoulders as silence enveloped us like a suffocating blanket. "I didn't expect to find you here," he continued, confusion giving way to suspicion etched across his features. Before I could respond or even gather my thoughts enough to formulate an answer worthy of this momentous occasion, the culmination of choices made and paths taken, he turned abruptly on his heel and walked away without another word. I stood frozen for what felt like an eternity before turning back toward him, the one who had ignited something within me that had long been dormant, and saw disappointment flicker across his face mirroring what was now churning inside me, regret mixed with fear and uncertainty about what lay ahead. "Maybe we should go," he said quietly after what felt like hours passed between us without any sound except for distant laughter echoing from other parts of the festival grounds. A reminder of normalcy that now felt utterly foreign given everything transpiring around us. "Yes," I whispered finally after gathering enough courage despite feeling shattered inside already by how quickly everything spiraled out beyond anyone's control tonight. As we walked away from where moments earlier our hearts had dared to connect so freely under twinkling lights illuminating possibilities ahead, it became painfully clear how fragile those moments truly were. The next day brought news that would change everything once again. He would be leaving town for an extended trip, one that would separate us further than distance alone ever could have managed before now. "I'll be gone for 2 weeks," he said when we met later in a quiet cafe tucked away from bustling streets filled with life outside its doors, a sanctuary where secrets could be shared without fear looming overhead too heavily. 2 weeks? My voice trembled slightly despite efforts made not letting emotions spill over into words spoken aloud right now, not wanting him seeing how deeply troubled by news delivered so casually. "Yeah." He sighed heavily while looking down into his cup filled only halfway up still, lost somewhere beyond whatever surface remained intact between us both right now. "It's work-related." "Of course." My mind raced ahead, thinking frantically about all possibilities lying ahead during those days apart, stretching far beyond mere calendar dates, marking time passing slowly yet inevitably onward. "I'll miss you." He looked up, then meeting my gaze directly, a warmth radiating from those deep-set eyes, revealing truths hidden beneath layers built over years spent apart, already living separate lives even when physically close enough, sharing space together still. "I'll miss you too." Words slipped out without hesitation because they felt true despite circumstances causing them, born out desperation rather than simply desire alone, driving emotions coursing through veins right now, pulsing rapidly beneath skin stretched thin under pressure, mounting steadily over time spent, tangled up within complexities surrounding choices made leading here today. And just like that, the door opened wider, revealing paths leading away from one another, further still, leaving behind nothing but echoes lingering softly, fading into silence, left behind once more. The rain had stopped, but the weight of the moment lingered in the air. As I stood there, heart racing, I glanced at him one last time. The quiet courtyard felt like a world away from my reality. The thrill of our connection was intoxicating, yet the guilt gnawed at me, threatening to unravel everything I had built. "I can't believe this is happening," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper. He stepped closer, his presence both comforting and confounding. "Maybe it's what we both need," he replied softly, searching my eyes for answers that eluded us both. In that instant, I felt a rush of conflicting emotions, longing for freedom yet tethered by the life I had constructed. The thought of our impending separation hung heavy in the air like the remnants of the storm that had just passed. We had decided to meet for one final farewell before he left town for an extended trip. A part of me craved this moment, another part screamed for it to end. As we lingered in silence, memories flooded back, moments shared over coffee, stolen glances during drives through the city. Each memory felt like a thread weaving us closer together while simultaneously tightening around my throat. The thrill of secrecy was intoxicating but suffocating at the same time. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, breaking through my reverie. I nodded slowly but hesitated to speak. Words felt inadequate to express what was swirling inside me, a tempest of desire and doubt battling for dominance. "We could make this work," he ventured cautiously, his voice steady despite the tension surrounding us. A flicker of hope ignited within me at his words. But just as quickly, reality crashed back in. My life was not just mine anymore, it was intertwined with another's, a husband who had once been my anchor but now felt like a distant memory. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. Pulling it out revealed an unexpected message from my husband. "I need to talk to you tonight." Something important came up. The blood drained from my face as panic set in. "He wants to talk," I said quietly, feeling the weight of those words settle heavily between us. "Now?" he asked incredulously. "Yes." My heart raced again, not with excitement but with dread. "What do you want to do?" His question hung there like an unspoken agreement between us, a choice that would define everything moving forward. I took a deep breath and met his gaze again, searching for clarity amidst chaos. "I don't know," I admitted finally, my voice trembling slightly as uncertainty washed over me. "Maybe we should go inside," he suggested gently, nodding toward the warmth and safety of his car parked nearby. The idea was tempting, an escape from reality if only for a little while longer, but stepping away from this moment would mean facing what awaited me at home, questions I wasn't prepared to answer and truths I wasn't ready to confront. Instead, we stood there in silence as droplets fell from nearby leaves onto cobblestones below, a soft reminder of how fleeting our time together truly was. "I wish things were different," he said finally, breaking our silence once more. "Me too," I whispered back before taking a step closer toward him again. Something about that proximity felt right even amidst all that was wrong in our lives. And then we kissed, an electric connection that ignited all those feelings within me once more while also reminding me how tangled up everything had become. two lives colliding under circumstances neither could control or fully understand yet desperately wanted to navigate together somehow despite all odds stacked against us. We pulled away reluctantly after what felt like an eternity lost within each other's embrace, the world outside fading away until nothing else mattered except this moment shared between two souls yearning for something more than what they had known before now. But reality crashed back down around us as sirens echoed faintly in the distance, a reminder that life continued on outside these walls even when emotions threatened to consume every ounce of clarity left within. "I have to go," he said abruptly after checking his watch anxiously, time slipping through our fingers like sand caught between waves crashing against shores unseen yet so close they could almost be touched if only one dared venture forth into unknown depths waiting beyond familiar horizons. Wait. Panic surged through me again as realization dawned. I didn't want him to leave without knowing how much he meant to me despite everything else swirling around us right now threatening chaos wherever steps led next. But before another word could escape either lips pressed tightly shut holding secrets tightly locked away beneath layers upon layers built over years spent trying desperately not lose sight what mattered most even when faced with choices no one ever anticipated having made a long way leading here today. Yet somehow here we were standing still caught between worlds colliding filled with uncertainty lurking just beyond horizon waiting patiently until ready enough embrace whatever came next regardless outcome looming ahead waiting patiently behind closed doors. As he turned away reluctantly heading towards car parked nearby shadows stretched long across pavement beneath feet carrying burdens far heavier than either realized until now standing alone facing choices looming larger than ever imagined possible before this moment arrived unexpectedly bringing light into dark corners previously hidden away from view. Then suddenly phone buzzed again breaking silence once more pulling attention back towards reality demanding focus where none existed moments ago lost within swirling depths filled with longing desires unmet still clinging tightly onto fragile threads woven intricately together binding hearts entwined forever changed by choices made a long way leading here today. Another message flashed across screen demanding attention pulling thoughts back towards impending conversation awaiting later tonight beckoning forth uncertainty lingering just beyond reach waiting patiently until ready enough face whatever came next regardless outcome, looming ahead waiting patiently behind closed doors. He paused briefly glancing back over shoulder catching glimpse one last time before stepping inside car shutting door firmly behind him leaving me standing alone amidst echoes fading softly into silence left behind once more. Heart pounding fiercely against ribcage refusing relent pressure mounting steadily growing stronger each passing second ticking down towards inevitable confrontation awaiting later tonight bringing forth truths long buried beneath layers upon layers built over years spent trying desperately hold on to something slipping further away by minute. Taking deep breath attempting steady myself against rising tide emotions swirling wildly threatening overwhelm senses leaving nothing but echoes lingering softly fading into nothingness left behind once more. The air felt heavy with unspoken words and unresolved emotions, as I stood at the threshold of my own life, grappling with the weight of my choices. The fleeting moments spent in secret with him echoed in my mind, intertwining with the memories of a marriage that had long since lost its spark. Each tick of the clock resonated like a countdown, amplifying the tension that filled the space around me. A chance encounter with an old friend earlier that day lingered in my thoughts. Her voice still echoed, urging me to confront my feelings rather than bury them beneath layers of complacency. "You deserve to be happy," she had said, her eyes searching mine for a flicker of hope. Yet, her words felt like both a lifeline and a burden, forcing me to face what I had been avoiding for so long. As I stood there, staring out at the rain-soaked street below, I couldn't help but reflect on how quickly everything had spiraled out of control. The kiss shared in that secluded courtyard under the rain was not just an act of passion, it was a momentary escape from a reality that felt increasingly suffocating. But now, standing on this precipice between two worlds, doubts clawed at me relentlessly. My husband's business trip loomed like a specter over our lives. He had left abruptly after finding the suitcase, a symbol of my indecision and desperation. His silence was deafening. It spoke volumes about his own turmoil and perhaps his growing discontent with our marriage. A letter arrived earlier that day from him, hinting at changes in his perspective. "I think we need to talk when I return," it read simply, yet it carried an undercurrent of urgency that sent chills down my spine. What would he say? Would he confront me about what he suspected? Or would he reveal his own struggles? The thought consumed me as I paced back and forth in our living room, each step echoing against the walls that felt like they were closing in on me. In those moments of solitude, I found myself questioning everything, the choices I made and the paths I could take moving forward. The allure of running away with him danced tantalizingly at the edge of my consciousness. But was it truly freedom I sought or merely an escape from confronting my reality? A sudden knock on the door jolted me from my reverie. My heart raced as I approached cautiously, unsure who might be standing on the other side. As I opened it slightly, relief washed over me when I recognized an old neighbor, someone familiar yet distant from my current chaos. "Hey. Long time no see," she said with a bright smile that momentarily lifted some weight off my shoulders. "Yeah, it has been," I replied hesitantly. "Can we talk?" she asked gently, sensing perhaps the turmoil within me. "Sure," I managed to say as she stepped inside. We settled on the couch, and she began recounting stories from our neighborhood, little snippets of life that seemed so trivial yet comforting amidst my internal storm. But soon enough, her gaze turned serious as she leaned closer. "You seem different," she remarked softly. "Is everything okay?" The question hung between us like a fragile thread ready to snap under pressure. My instinct was to brush it off, but something compelled me to speak up instead. Perhaps it was her genuine concern or maybe just a desire for connection. "I've been going through some things," I admitted cautiously. "Marriage troubles?" she asked bluntly but kindly. I nodded slowly as her eyes widened slightly in understanding. "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" She pressed gently but insistently. I hesitated before revealing fragments of my heart, my loneliness and yearning for something more than what we had become over time. As I spoke about the chauffeur and our moments together, the laughter shared over coffee and those stolen kisses, I could see her processing this information carefully. "I think you need to decide what you want," she said after a pause filled with contemplation. "Don't let fear dictate your choices." Her words struck deep within me, a clarion call amidst all this uncertainty swirling around like autumn leaves caught in an unpredictable windstorm. But just as clarity began to wash over me, another thought intruded. What if pursuing happiness meant tearing apart everything? What if stepping into light meant casting shadows on others? Before I could voice these concerns aloud or probe deeper into this conversation with her friend who seemed genuinely invested in helping me find clarity amid chaos, the doorbell rang again unexpectedly. A jolt shot through me as dread settled heavily upon my chest. Who could it be now? My heart raced anew as unease gripped me tightly while glancing toward the door again. It felt ominous somehow. "I'll get it," she offered quickly before rising from her seat without waiting for permission and walking toward where shadows danced across our entryway illuminated by dim lights overhead. As she opened the door fully revealing who stood there, a mixture of shock and apprehension coursed through me when recognition dawned upon us both simultaneously. It was him, the chauffeur, who had become so intricately woven into this tangled web we spun together. "What are you doing here?" My voice came out sharper than intended, surprise mixed with something else entirely, an unbidden thrill coursing through veins at seeing him again after what felt like ages apart since last clandestine meeting. "I needed to see you." His tone held urgency laced within vulnerability, a stark contrast against backdrop filled with uncertainty looming just beyond walls surrounding us both now. My friend glanced between us uncertainly before retreating slightly back toward kitchen area, leaving space open for conversation tinged heavily by implications lingering thickly between us. "What's going on?" my voice barely above whisper now, tension palpable hanging thickly around us both. I can't stop thinking about you. He stepped closer, cautiously seeking connection despite barriers built around hearts aching beneath surface layer masking true feelings hidden away too long already. His confession sent ripples through every fiber within body, stirring emotions once more threatening drown out rationality completely. But even amidst chaos surrounding us all, I knew one thing remained clear: this moment would change everything. The rain drummed steadily against the window, a soft yet persistent reminder of the storm brewing both outside and within. I sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly at the half-finished cup of coffee before me. The warmth had long faded, just like the spark in my marriage. The quiet of the house felt heavier than usual, an oppressive silence that echoed my thoughts. My husband had been distant for weeks, lost in his own world while I wrestled with my emotions. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to change. The conversation we had last night lingered in my mind, his words echoing like a haunting melody. He spoke about feeling trapped, about wondering if we were living separate lives under the same roof. Each revelation felt like a weight pressing down on me, suffocating and liberating all at once. As I absent-mindedly stirred my coffee, I heard the faint sound of footsteps approaching from behind. My heart quickened, expecting to see him walk through the door with that familiar smile, one that had become as rare as a sunny day in Portland lately. Instead, it was just a memory of what we used to be. The thought of him brought back images of laughter and shared dreams, before life got busy and priorities shifted. Had we really drifted so far apart? Or had we simply stopped trying? The questions swirled in my mind like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. I glanced out the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. It reminded me of moments spent with someone else, the chauffeur who had unexpectedly entered my life and filled it with warmth during those cold nights of solitude. Our conversations ignited something within me that I thought was long extinguished: passion, excitement, hope. But now there was tension in the air between my husband and me, an unspoken truth hovering just out of reach. He came home late last night after his business trip, his demeanor colder than usual. I sensed he was carrying burdens he hadn't shared yet. My heart sank at the thought: secrets never lead anywhere good. The sound of keys jingling broke through my reverie as he entered the room. He looked weary but still managed a forced smile when he saw me sitting there. "Hey," he said softly, his voice almost drowned out by the rain. "Hey," I replied, forcing myself to meet his gaze. Silence enveloped us again as we stood awkwardly across from each other, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I wanted to reach out to him but felt paralyzed by uncertainty. "I've been thinking," he started tentatively, "about us." My heart raced at those words. They held so much weight yet felt like they could tip either way, toward reconciliation or separation. "About what?" I asked carefully, bracing myself for whatever revelation would follow. "About how things have changed," he said slowly, choosing his words with caution as if afraid they might shatter whatever fragile connection remained between us. "What do you mean?" He sighed deeply before continuing. "I feel like we're living separate lives now, like we're more roommates than partners." His admission struck me hard. It was both painful and liberating to hear him voice what I had been feeling for so long but dared not say aloud. Tears pricked at my eyes as emotions surged within me, a mix of sorrow for our lost connection and relief that he finally acknowledged it. "I know," I whispered, my voice barely above a murmur. He looked away then. Shame washed over him as he realized how far apart we'd grown without even trying to bridge that gap. "I've been thinking about, maybe separating." The word hung heavy between us, like an anchor threatening to drag us both down into unknown depths where neither could breathe easily again. My heart raced at this unexpected twist. It felt surreal hearing him say what had lingered unspoken for too long now. "Is that really what you want?" He hesitated before answering, Uncertainty flickered across his face like shadows cast by flickering candlelight in a dark room filled with secrets too heavy to bear alone anymore. "I don't know," he admitted finally. "Maybe it's time for both of us to find our own paths." His words echoed painfully in my chest, a reminder that every choice comes with consequences, and suddenly all those stolen moments spent with someone else began weighing heavily on me too. What would happen if he chose this path? Would I be left alone? Would our lives unravel completely? A sudden wave crashed over me, a realization dawning bright amidst confusion swirling around inside. Perhaps neither path led back toward love but merely deeper into isolation instead. Just then, an unexpected knock interrupted our tense standoff, a sharp sound cutting through layers built upon years spent together yet feeling strangely distant now, as though two strangers stood before one another instead of partners once bound by love itself. He glanced toward the door before turning back toward me. Uncertainty clouded his features as if contemplating whether to answer or let whatever awaited outside remain hidden from view forevermore. "Should you get that?" I nodded slowly while fighting against rising anxiety threatening to overwhelm every ounce of composure left within me. What if it were him? What if this moment unraveled everything? He walked cautiously toward the door while I remained rooted in place, unable even move forward or backward without fear gripping tightly around heartstrings frayed beyond repair already. As he opened it wide enough only reveal shadowy figure standing there drenched from rain outside, my breath hitched when recognition dawned upon seeing familiar face peering back through droplets cascading down glass pane separating us all from world beyond. It was him, the chauffeur who'd ignited flames within soul once dulled by monotony, but now stood before us both carrying secrets untold yet somehow binding threads together tighter than ever before. The air shifted palpably around us, tension crackled beneath surface layer masking true feelings hidden away too long already. "What are you doing here?" My husband's voice broke through silence thickening further still while I stood frozen watching everything unfold before eyes wide open unable to comprehend consequences looming ever closer ahead. The air thickened with unspoken words, a tension so palpable it felt like a living thing. My husband stood there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed in disbelief. The suitcase I had packed sat by the door, a silent witness to my indecision. The weight of my choices pressed down on me like a heavy fog. "What are you doing here?" he repeated, his voice tinged with hurt and suspicion. I could see the flicker of anger in his eyes, but beneath that was something deeper of fear. Fear of losing me, fear of the unknown that loomed between us. I opened my mouth to respond but found no words. The truth hung suspended in the air. Did he know? Had he seen the way I looked at the chauffeur? The way my heart raced when he entered the room? I couldn't bring myself to answer. Instead, I turned slightly, glancing toward the window where raindrops traced erratic patterns down the glass. "Are you going to answer me?" His voice rose just enough to break my reverie. My voice faltered. "I didn't expect you home so soon." His brow furrowed further, and for a moment, we were both trapped in that space where silence screamed louder than any accusation could. The memories flashed through my mind, the laughter shared over coffee, stolen glances at street fairs, and that kiss under the rain in the courtyard. Each moment felt like a thread weaving into an intricate tapestry of longing and regret. "Is there someone else?" he asked suddenly, his tone shifting from disbelief to accusation. "Tell me the truth." The words struck like a whip crack in the stillness of our home. I could feel my heart racing again, it was almost suffocating. How could I explain? How could I lay bare everything that had been brewing beneath the surface? Before I could respond, a knock echoed from behind me, a soft but insistent sound that made both our heads turn toward the door. My breath caught as I recognized who it might be before even opening it. The chauffeur stood there, drenched from the rain yet somehow radiant in his own way, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. His eyes darted between us, sensing immediately that something was off. I came to see you, he said hesitantly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. What do you think you're doing? My husband's voice was low but edged with fury, now directed at him instead of me. I just wanted to talk, he replied calmly but firmly. No one is talking, my husband shot back, fists clenching at his sides. I felt torn between two worlds, the familiar yet suffocating world of my marriage and this new territory filled with uncertainty and reckless hope. My heart raced as realization washed over me. This confrontation was unavoidable now. Maybe we should all talk, I finally managed to say, surprising even myself with how steady my voice sounded despite everything spiraling out of control around us. My husband's gaze flickered back to me, confusion mingled with anger painted across his features. What do you mean? The chauffeur stepped forward slightly as if trying to bridge this widening chasm between us without saying anything more than necessary. This isn't just about you two anymore. I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. It felt like releasing a dam holding back too many emotions at once. I've been feeling lost, disconnected from everything. My husband's expression softened for just a moment before hardening again as if bracing himself against an incoming wave of truth he wasn't ready for yet. Is that why you're packing your things? He gestured toward the suitcase still looming by the door as if it were an impending judgment against him rather than merely luggage filled with uncertainty. This isn't easy for me, I said quietly but firmly now. Perhaps finally confronting both men would bring clarity rather than chaos, even if it meant shattering everything we'd built together over years spent side by side yet worlds apart emotionally. I didn't come here to cause trouble, said the chauffeur softly but resolutely, meeting my husband's gaze head-on without flinching under pressure or animosity directed toward him from across this divide we'd created through silence too long kept unbroken between us, all three standing now on opposite sides of what felt like an emotional battlefield laid bare before us, stripped down, raw, exposed, vulnerable, without armor shielding any one person from another anymore. Then what did you come here for? My husband challenged him fiercely while still holding on to some semblance of control over this spiraling situation threatening everything around us like hurricane winds tearing through fragile structures built on shaky foundations left unattended far too long. To help her find clarity. The chauffeur's voice remained steady even when faced with hostility emanating from across our makeshift battleground formed within these walls, once deemed safe spaces now transformed into arenas filled only with tension, unresolved, lingering doubts swirling around each word spoken, exchanged among us three, caught up within this tangled web woven together through choices made along paths diverging unexpectedly, leading nowhere clear anymore. For a heartbeat longer than eternity passed between us. Time seemed suspended while emotions surged crashing against one another until finally breaking free, spilling forth uncontrollably. I don't want to lose either of you, I admitted quietly, feeling tears prickling at corners threatening to spill forth unbidden, washing away any remaining facade left intact, protecting fragile hearts exposed, raw, aching, yearning, desperately searching for connection amidst chaos swirling around us all. In that moment everything shifted. The air thickened further, still charged, electric, pulsing, alive, resonating deep within souls intertwined, seeking understanding beyond mere words exchanged, caught up within tangled webs spun throughout lives lived far apart yet drawn together inexplicably, magnetically bound through choices made, unforeseen consequences looming ahead, waiting patiently, readying themselves just outside reach, beckoning invitingly forward into unknown territories, uncharted paths. Stretching endlessly onward, beckoning exploration, discovery, renewal, transformation, awaiting those brave enough dare venture forth, embrace whatever comes next. The suitcase lay open on the bed, a stark reminder of choices made and paths not taken. I glanced at the door, heart racing, knowing he would return any moment. The air felt heavy with unspoken words, secrets poised to spill over like a dam ready to break. Each tick of the clock reverberated through the silence, amplifying my anxiety. I had spent hours contemplating what to do next. The weight of my decisions pressed down on me like a lead blanket. I had never imagined it would come to this, a confrontation with my husband about my feelings for another man, a man who had become both a refuge and a source of turmoil. The sound of the door creaking open pulled me from my thoughts. He stepped inside, his expression shifting from fatigue to confusion as he took in the sight before him. "What's going on?" His gaze locked onto the suitcase. My voice faltered, caught between honesty and fear. I had rehearsed this moment in my head countless times but never thought it would feel this raw. "What is this?" he demanded, stepping closer, his tone sharp and edged with hurt. The vulnerability in his eyes cut through me deeper than any accusation could. "It's not what you think," I stammered, searching for words that would ease the tension thickening around us. "I just needed some space to think." "Space?" He gestured toward the suitcase as if it were a tangible representation of our crumbling marriage. "You're leaving? Is that what you want?" "No. That's not it at all." Panic surged within me. "I'm trying to figure things out, about us, about everything." "Everything?" His voice rose slightly, emotions spilling over into anger and confusion. "Is there someone else?" The question hung in the air like smoke from an extinguished fire, heavy and suffocating. In that moment, I saw everything we had built together flash before my eyes: laughter shared over coffee cups, quiet evenings spent reading side by side, moments that felt like home despite their simplicity. "Yes," I whispered finally, each syllable feeling like a betrayal against everything we once held dear. His face fell as if struck by an unseen force, disbelief etched deep lines into his forehead. "Who?" I hesitated. The truth felt too heavy to bear, revealing it would shatter whatever remained of our fragile connection. But lying now seemed impossible too. "It's him," I admitted quietly. He stepped back as if physically recoiling from my words, shock morphing into something darker, a mix of anger and pain that twisted his features into something unrecognizable. "I can't believe this," he murmured, shaking his head slowly as if trying to dispel a nightmare that refused to fade away. "I didn't mean for it to happen," I pleaded desperately. "I was lonely, we've been drifting apart for so long." "Lonely?" His voice cracked slightly under the weight of emotion. "You chose him over us? Over our family?" "I didn't choose anything. It just happened." I fought back tears threatening to spill forth again. Vulnerability felt like poison in this moment. "Did you love him?" The question sliced through me, raw and unforgiving. "I don't know." The admission escaped before I could catch it. Honesty clawed its way out amid chaos swirling around us both. Silence enveloped us then, thick and suffocating, as we stood there grappling with truths laid bare under harsh fluorescent lights illuminating our fractured reality. Suddenly he turned away from me toward the window where shadows danced across the walls outside, a reflection of our lives now splintered into pieces scattered across time. Laughter turned bitter memories haunting every corner filled with echoes of joy now tinged with sorrow. "We've both lost ourselves somewhere along this path," he said finally without looking back at me, still staring out into nothingness beyond those glass panes separating us from whatever lay beyond. Freedom? Pain? Uncertainty? As if sensing something shifting within him, the air crackling with tension, I stepped forward but hesitated before reaching out, hesitantly placing my hand on his shoulder, hoping for connection amidst despair. But he flinched away, instinctively breaking contact between us, leaving only silence echoing louder than words ever could. "I need some time alone," he said quietly after what felt like an eternity stretched thin between us, his voice barely above a whisper filled with resignation rather than anger now. An acceptance settling over him like fog rolling through early morning streets, blurring outlines once clear now obscured beyond recognition. "Please don't go." My voice broke as desperation clawed at my insides, fear gripped tightly around my heart, squeezing painfully until breath became shallow, strained against walls closing in around me, threatening suffocation beneath weighty truths unspoken yet understood. But he turned away without looking back again, walking toward the door, leaving behind only echoes lingering long after footsteps faded into distance, marking finality etched deep within memories shared, now forever altered, forever changed. The door clicked shut behind him, sealing off whatever remained of our life together, trapping me within confines built upon love, once vibrant, now reduced mere remnants scattered across floors littered, dreams, hopes dashed against realities, crashing down hard against fragile hearts exposed, raw, aching, yearning, desperately seeking connection amidst chaos swirling around us all. In that moment realization struck hard. Both relationships had taught invaluable lessons about myself, revealing truths hidden beneath layers carefully constructed over years spent navigating complexities life threw our way. Yet standing here alone, surrounded by ghosts haunting every corner, illuminated dimly flickering lights casting shadows dancing wildly across walls, reminding me nothing lasts forever, even love once cherished can fade away, leaving behind only echoes resonating deep within souls intertwined, seeking understanding beyond mere words exchanged, caught up within tangled webs spun throughout lives lived far apart yet drawn together, inexplicably magnetically bound through choices made, unforeseen consequences looming ahead, waiting patiently, readying themselves just outside reach, beckoning invitingly forward into unknown territories, uncharted paths stretching endlessly onward, beckoning exploration, discovery, renewal, transformation, awaiting those brave enough dare venture forth. Embrace whatever comes next. And so, standing at this metaphorical crossroads, facing uncertain future stretching endlessly ahead, filled with possibilities yet tinged bittersweet reminders, past choices made linger still, haunting whispers trailing behind, beckoning softly, urging caution even as excitement dances tantalizingly close, urging forward momentum despite fears rising, threatening drown out hope. But then came another knock, echoing through silence, shattering fragile peace surrounding me. A reminder that life continues moving forward regardless how much we wish. Pause button existed, allowing moments linger longer, allowing time stretch infinitely, instead rushing past, leaving only fleeting glimpses behind before darkness settles upon horizon. Fading light illuminating path ahead, dimming slowly until nothing remains but shadows cast long across ground beneath feet, unsure where next step leads. Uncertain journey unfolding, waiting patiently, readying itself just outside reach, beckoning invitingly forward.